Most Amazon sellers think that growth is just about doing more campaigns, more bids, more spend. But the truth is, at least the brands that I'm working with that are doing 8 and 9 figures, is not just about more. It's about systems, strategy. And in this video, I'm gonna break down the exact playbook that we've been using to take brands from 5 and 6 all the way to 7, 8, and 9 figures on Amazon. Before we jump into this video, I recommend grabbing a pen. That way you can take notes. I'm gonna walk through each of the core pillars that we focus on and how you can implement those into your brand today in order to start scaling. The most important thing that I have seen after working with over 50 brands that allow us to actually scale, believe it or not, and it might seem obvious, is your product. And being able to identify and create good product value propositions for your consumers to purchase is a big step of the battle. And being able to position your product for that search in order to beat your competitors is critical if you want to scale inside of Amazon. Now, Hunter, what does that mean? That means that just because you have a good product doesn't mean you're going to be able to beat your competition. If we look at Amazon's algorithm, it comprises of tons and tons of different variables. But when we boil it to the surface, the most important, in my opinion, is going to be your click-through rate. So that's going to be your main image and your ability to pull someone from the search page and push them into your product page. Then it moves into your conversion rate. So once they get there, are they going to purchase? And obviously, a very important factor, but it's an important factor for a lot of reasons, because when we break down how Amazon indexes products inside of Amazon, if we look at the patent, for instance, that they have that is public, we can see very clearly that they favor relevancy. Relevancy is super, super important. So how do we determine relevancy? Well, relevancy is determined by the amount of clicks that it gets in the search and the amount of times people will convert for that. So those two metrics are super, super important. Those metrics are then attached to different keywords. So that's going to bring in the SEO component, which is also very, very important. When I'm optimizing funnels, I start from the top of the funnel and then I move down. So the first part of this funnel that I'm going to cover is the click-through rate. Now, I will show an example of, let's go to Amazon and I'll find this product here, something I actually recently ordered. This is Ancient Minerals Magnesium Flake Bath Scrub. I find it very nice when I'm trying to relax. Yet this product is, quite frankly, not optimized for Amazon. When we come in and we search for, let's say, one of these keywords here, so natural salts, inside of Amazon, we can see that they're purchasing all these, or most of the placements, right? So we can see them at the top, we can see them at a variety of different placements, but we can see here, there is some other Epsom salts, there's some Celtic salts in the search, right? So when I'm looking at this search, I think to myself, how can I understand the consumer, what they're searching for, and be able to solve that problem before the consumer really knows what that problem is? And that is how you become super relevant. So a term like natural salts, what we can do is take a look and understand what and how much search volume is going behind this keyword. We can understand how much these people are paying for this specific keyword. And from there, we will be able to understand, is this the keyword that we want to target in order to become relevant, in order to index? The point of indexing in your SEO is to get organic ranking. And a lot of people track organic ranks 1 to 50. Personally, I only really care about organic ranks 1 to 14. That's because the average consumer, when they're scrolling on Amazon, they're only going to see 14 organic placements. The rest of the placements are all paid, so that's going to be your PPC and advertising part, which is another part of, I'll put this on the screen, another part of the algorithm that we want to pay attention to. But going back to the SEO component, we want to index from ranks 1 to 14. That is super important because those are the keywords that are actually going to be driving more and more organic sales. And when we look at the financial modeling of Amazon and how we make our money typically, is through driving a lot of sales through PPC, which is rather expensive. Typically speaking, PPC can even be a break even depending on the niche. And the money and profit is typically made from the organic side from indexing. So paying attention to these keywords is super, super important. How do we index 1 to 14? Well, we need to have the highest click-through rate. We need to have the highest conversion rate. We need to have the best sales volume. Those are the three primary factors for being able to index. You want to make sure you're not running out of stock. I mean, there's quite a bit. Your reviews matter considerably as well. You want to make sure you have good reviews. But from a core component of the things that I can control as the marketer, typically, since I'm focusing on a product that is being given to us, I typically focus on solving this search problem and being able to deliver the best results for these products that we're given to market. And with that, what I do is I understand what search terms people are searching for. So if we're going back to the natural salts, we can see here that nobody has natural salts keyword inside the search, which is kind of crazy, right? You would think that this keyword is strong enough that you could put this in the search and you could see a 20-25% increase in conversion for this specific keyword, which will allow you to rank and index much faster. And by building a strategy to target the SEO keywords that you want to rank for and putting the spend from a PPC behind those words that you're already going to be indexing and ranking better for, the probability of you indexing against your competitors is going to be a lot higher. Your competitors, in a perfect world, or I guess in a vacuum, if your product has the highest click-through rate and your product has the highest conversion rate, theoretically in the market, and we can check that through the Search Query Performance Report, theoretically you can way outspend your competitors. I mean, they can obviously spend at a loss compared to you to try to hold the keywords and hold the rank. But if you have better metrics, if 2 out of 3 customers, given all the variables are the same, are going to purchase your product, obviously you can spend more money to acquire customers, and inevitably they're going to bleed out or not be able to keep up with your spend, thus resulting in you taking over the market. The easiest thing that you can do as an established seller is focusing on the very top of the funnel that I'm talking about here. Like I have taken brands that are doing 50 million a year, and by simply breaking their catalog apart, focusing on the top of the funnel, breaking down the search like I'm showing you, we've been able to increase their bottom line significantly. Just on the first round of split tests, for instance, we've been able to increase their conversions by 20-25%, which is obviously a considerable amount when you look at the equation of top of funnel going down to bottom of funnel. If we can increase your top of funnel by 25%, your bottom of the funnel typically is directly proportional to that. If we can have 100 people come in at 50% conversion, that's 50 people. If we have 100 people come in at 75% conversion, that is 75 people, right? So we're literally just changing one variable, and now the amount of people that are coming in and purchasing significantly increases. So when going in, these are the most important factors that I like to focus on when taking a product and scaling it in Amazon. This principles we have different buckets for. So there's a lot of different ways that we can create amazing main images that are going to disrupt the market. One of the ones that I typically use the most is keyword based, similar to the strategy that I was just describing. But on top of that, there's also quite a few different methods that we can use that aren't just keyword based, right? We can understand what the consumer really is trying to find when they're looking in Amazon. What are their pain points? What is the marketing avatar? So when I do this, I've actually built a software that goes a little bit more in depth. I'm looking on not only Amazon, right? So I look on Amazon. I also look at 1P data, which is first party data. We look at Amazon's data as well. I export as much as I can. If we're already in the niche, I'll look at the Search Query Performance Report. If I'm not in the niche, then I will pull out whatever information is available to us. Product Opportunity Explorer tends to have a lot of really good information in the niche. From there, I scrape all the reviews in the niche. So 50,000 reviews or however many we need to gather from all the competitors. And we put all this information into a database. And from that database, we understand the consumers really well. Like what are the main things that consumers typically trying to purchase for? What are the things that they hate when they buy this product? Like what do we really want to mention that we aren't, and polarize? And from that, typically depending on the niche, there's 20, 40 different points. And from there we prioritize them. So the most painful ones come to the very top, and the most, this is important information, go towards the bottom. What I have noticed with the years of scaling in Amazon and doing over 180 million in sales at this current time is that consumers don't like doubt. And the easiest way to clarify that is to understand the product at its core level, understand every single point across the entire market, all the reviews, all the data, and be able to establish to a T what the customer doesn't want, what the customer wants. and then position your product exactly to that marketing avatar. Once we have the understanding of the niche and how we want to position the product, now we can take that information and start putting it into our systems. So for me, we have around 20 different categories. I'm going to give you the main ones that I find are very successful. That way you can apply those to your business. Depending on the niche, sometimes it gets more granular, but for the main ones, keywords is great. We have swing tags. So that's putting a tag, or I even put boxes. I find boxes do really well. So we can make a fake cardboard box, even if the product doesn't come with a cardboard box. It offers us amazing pixel space that we can use to then create different imagery. Important things that you want to make sure you're including is, if it's made in America, put an American flag on it. Like, it's super, super simple, but people love America. Surprise, surprise. We're a very patriotic country, one. And two, Americans are typically, I think we've all bought a product or two off of Amazon and we're like, what the heck is this thing? It's like a piece of junk, and you can tell like the instructions are literally in broken English / I don't even know, like weird symbols. And it's just obvious that nobody's going to be able to use this thing, and it's basically useless. And you don't even want to return it because it was like $5. So you just kind of leave it and you take the L. People value their time. I'm a perfect example of this. When I'm going on Amazon and I'm purchasing things, a lot of times I'll actually purchase the more expensive piece. So if there's something for $30, $50, and $90, depending on obviously the product, I'll typically either purchase the 51 or the 91 because my time is very valuable, and having an experience where I wait a day, product comes, it's not what I want, I would rather pay more money for the insurance. That more money allows you to get more margins. And understanding that, how can you capture those buyers? Well, you capture them through eliminating any doubt in your funnel. How do you eliminate any doubt in the funnel? You understand every single point that your consumers are typically trying to look for when they're going to purchase a product. So a lot of this research and understanding and mapping and modeling is really important to making sure you're relevant, you have good click-through and conversion. So once you have that core, I call that the foundation of the scale, we then move into the different pillars of PPC, which is really important. I look at PPC as a tool in order to scale brands into Amazon, not just segregated, which is what unfortunately a lot of brands look at it like. They don't understand the dynamics behind the flywheel inside of Amazon, which is organic sales are a result of PPC sales and your overall algorithm in majority of the cases, right? Because the PPC is going to increase your SEO, which is going to then allow you to gain more organic ranks, which is going to get you more sales, which is going to make you more profit. So a lot of the profit for a lot of the brands comes from organically indexing. And in order to organically index, PPC is great fuel for the fire. And being able to understand that you don't want to just focus on what is my ACoS or what am I spending from this portion of, your total advertising sales over your total advertising cost. That's not the best metric to look at because it is actually affecting, more parts, and you have to really zoom out to be able to really understand that. And just by zooming out for a lot of these brands, we're able to double and even triple them just based on the economics of how Amazon works over time. Obviously, it's not like within a month they're all of a sudden doubled. In some rare cases it does happen, but over the course of time with continual growth and compound, what I call compound interest or compound growth, the brands are able to continue to grow significantly, especially when you're able to benefit from acquiring new customers in your brand and establishing brand loyalty. And if you have people that buy over and over and over again, like supplements or different products that have repeat customers, by scaling at, lower profit margins, you're going to be able to continuously acquire more customers into your ecosystem that are going to be loyal, that perhaps will tell a friend or perhaps will purchase multiple times. And the amount that you're going to achieve or win is going to be beneficial to scale at a lower margin in the beginning, and over time the snowball is going to take effect. So once we have these PPC systems, a lot of the PPC is going to encompass a lot of different, I call them highways. So there's billboards on highways that you can post inside of Amazon. We have quite a bit of different ways to do the marketing. I'm going to pull up an infographic that is going to kind of show you the different types of ads that you can run inside of Amazon and where they are. So we have tons and tons of different type of ads that we can run inside of Amazon. So what I typically do is I'll take a look at a lot of data. to be honest. I'm a bit of a data nerd. I love systems. My therapist says I have a bit of OCD. I don't like the boxes that they put me in, but I can see how it would make sense, and maybe after talking to me that might make sense to you too. So what I typically like to do is I take a look at the market, and inside of Amazon we can see the search query performance report, which is going to show us a lot of beautiful data points. If you don't have experience using the search query performance report, I did a long form interview with Damien, which is very, very insightful, where you'll understand the walkthrough of exactly how we use these metrics in our business. You can find that at the bottom. I would watch it at the end of the video, that way you don't miss any juicy information that I share in the next few minutes. The point is, this data will tell us, what's the market click-through rate, what is our click-through rate, how are we performing against the market, and can we scale? And then I look at all the different highways. Do we have exact? Do we have phrase? Do we have broad? Do we have auto? Do we have search terms? And understanding what our impression share is and impression rank, and devising a strategy based on our SEO, our click-through, and our conversion, as well as looping in creative, in order for us to become as relevant as possible for the keywords that we know are going to give us the most money, that we know we're going to be able to beat our competition on, is how you effectively continuously scale into Amazon. What I recommend is to continuously be updating your creative in order to complement the strategy that you're trying to implement on your PPC and your SEO for a multitude of reasons. One, if we're putting a bunch of spend behind specific keywords, it is good to have the higher click-through, higher conversion, because your overall profitability is going to be higher. So for a hyper competitive keyword, let's say fish oil, for instance, it is going to be very beneficial for an expensive keyword like that to be able to have the highest metrics as possible as you push into Amazon for a month or 2 months and do your ranking campaigns. I isolate down the best keywords that we can use. We create exact, phrase, broad, auto campaigns, depending on which ones are going to perform the best. Typically, I like to use all highways and understand how everything is performing, making sure to negate all the keywords that aren't doing well, and continuously improving that PPC funnel in order to complement those other pillars that I was just talking about. From there, we understand from a high level how we can actually scale into Amazon. We need to properly map out all the pain points, the marketing avatars, all the data inside of Amazon. We need to understand how can we create the creative and improve the most important metrics, which is click-through and conversion rate. And then from there, we need to create and devise an SEO strategy that is going to complement that. And then on the back end, we need the PPC strategy to also be in alignment with the SEO strategy in order to create indexation and be able to go for those ranks 1 through 14. Ultimately, when you have all this in sync, things start to work out in your favor, and you'll start to be able to index and rank and build those flywheels. What I find is most important is being able to be agile. You want to be able to continue to update, split test every 3 weeks. If you're not running a split test every 3 weeks or 4 weeks, in my opinion, you're leaving money on the table unless you're already very optimized or on a bestseller. There sometimes are cases where I wouldn't be continuously running tests. But in most instances, we always want to be testing. We always want to be improving. And in order to do that, we need to document and understand what pain points work in each niche and what pain points don't work in each niche, why each split test won, why each split test lost. And from there, we can start mapping out and create improvements every single time until we get to the creative points that we are really, really winning. And then we can stay until another competitor starts changing their main imagery and their creative in order to take some of our market share. And at that point, we'll probably have to make some adjustments and figure out from a psychological standpoint, how can we take that back and put those back into our favor from a click-through and conversion rate perspective? Everything I shared is not just random advice. This is actionable frameworks that I've used and am currently using to scale inside of Amazon. We work with over 30 brands actively and have scaled over 50 brands in the past, doing over 180 million in sales. So this is not just some YouTuber rambling. This is someone that is actually in the field, actually scaling brands, actually seeing results. If you need some support or need any help, feel free to click the link in the bio, gigabrands.ai. That is us. Happy to jump on a consultation call for you. If you are looking to build and implement specifically a main image system that is going to help you with that click-through and that conversion rate right off the bat, which is what one of the most important parts of the Amazon funnel is. I actually did a video right here talking about A/B testing and which elements that we use in more depth, just like those swing tags and keywords that we use. This will break it down. Appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next one.